This week is my best bro's birthday, and he is also a longtime creative collaborator of mine. And so this week we are celebrating him, and we are celebrating our partnership. And so you are experiencing 3 pitches for 3 different projects. One of them that we got paid for, one of them that nobody has ever seen, we literally just finished an early draft of it a few months ago, and one of them that is in development, that I'm developing for pitching and taking out to this beautiful marketplace of ours. I'll let you decide which is which among the 3, but let's just call this, going chronologically, this is pitch number 3, project number 3. So I detailed 2 sort of funny off-the-wall pitches in the first 2 videos. This one is a little bit more serious. This one is about a young woman who is in high school who has ESP, not the sports network, extrasensory perception. And in our world, we are really deep diving into the implications of extrasensory perception. And we're not talking about communing with the dead necessarily. We're not talking about Jennifer Love Hewitt necessarily, but we are talking about everybody. If you're watching this, you're included in this. Everybody has a second sense. Everybody has some level of extrasensory perception. And one of the biggest examples of this, well, there's 2 big examples of this. One of them, the more spectacular of the biggest examples of this, is déjà vu. Have you ever experienced déjà vu? Well, if you've experienced déjà vu, you have experienced a heightened sensitivity to other aspects and dimensions of the world around us within which we live. The other is, have you ever had a gut feeling? Where is that coming from? Well, it comes from inside, but it really is you responding to energies or realities or dimensions around you, and your sensitivity to that is feeding you information. And so those are some examples of extrasensory perception in our definition of it, in our world of it. Well, our main character, Melanie, she has a very heightened sense of extrasensory perception. And her next level, I will say, ability around ESP, which is very unique to her, is she, in certain circumstances, can see the spirit form. So that could be a ghost if there's no corporeal body form connected to it. It could be just this alone spirit form. It could be a spirit form that is stuck behind because it has separated from its corporeal or material or body form and now is lost, or as we refer to as untethered. It could be a spirit form that is tethered but sort of separated. Imagine letting loose some slack on a long string of a balloon. And so in a way, she can see, experience, and commune with the dead, but only if that spirit form that she's experiencing is now tethered to some sort of material item in the material world that holds great meaning. And so there are situations where if she touches, now she has to touch that thing to be able to experience them. And it's almost like if she touches the thing, she can follow the string or tether to that form, and then now she can experience it. A really good friend of hers who she met, and it's a long backstory, but she and this other person learn they both have this heightened sense of ESP. Well, his name is Kip. His form of ESP that is super heightened is he actually, so if you've ever had or heard of someone having an out-of-body experience, well, what's happening in our version of things is you're two forms. Every person is two forms. And this isn't about creed, religion, belief, any of that. Although certainly there are parallels to different beliefs, different religions. But in our version, we all, you, me, we all are two forms. We have a spirit form and we have a corporeal form, our body. And our spirit and corporeal forms are linked together like this. They are one. But in some circumstances, that spirit form can part from the corporeal form, and when that happens, there is a tether that links the two. So there's like kind of a long, imagine like the old school diver with the oxygen hose that goes into the water. Well, that tether still connects them to reality, to the material world. And there are situations though where someone will have an out-of-body experience, where their spirit form attached to the tether will separate from their corporeal form and they will have this experience. Well, Kip, he can force this to happen. He can control his out-of-body experience where he can separate his spirit and corporeal forms, and he can, with a very long tether that always remains intact, explore other dimensions. So, Melanie, while doing volunteer work at a children's hospital, is walking down one of the hallways. She's hitting up the vending machine, and she is just drawn. She's feeding on something, but she doesn't know what it is, but she's reacting to some sort of impulse. And she comes upon a hospital room, and there is a young boy, about 8 to 10 years old, and he is comatose, laying in a bed, comatose. Well, curiosity gets the better of her. Something is calling to her. She doesn't really know what yet. So she enters the room and she goes up to the boy, and it's so sad. There's no family, there's no parents, there's no balloons, there's no gifts around. And just out of compassion, she just touches his hand. It's just a compulsion, a human compulsion. She touches his hand, and when she does, boom, the spirit form of Joseph sits up out of his body. He's terrified. He's screaming, "Help me, help me." He tries to pull her with him. "Help me, he won't let me go. He won't let me go." And she jerks free, freaking out. Like, oh my God, what was that? And his spirit form still out of this comatose body. The spirit form is lifting up, "Help me, help me." So she gets out of there because she's terrified. But she can't help but wonder, what is going on with this kid? And the better, more human side of her starts to wonder, is this a kid in need? Am I the only one because of my powers who can potentially help him? And so she attempts to enlist the help of her friend Kip, but they've got a history and it's complicated. So he's not willing to answer her calls right away. But she decides, no one can help this kid. I can't explain this. Like, what am I going to explain this to the doctors? His spirit form like leaned up out of his body and was calling to me, and he's trapped somewhere. No, that's crazy town. So she decides, I'm going to go back. I'm going to see if I can help this kid. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. And so she goes back, and she touches his hand, and the spirit comes out. He's terrified. He grabs onto her. This time she lets him. He yanks her into another place, the sort of otherworldly, ghosty version of reality that they live in. And we call this the other side. And now we see him, the boy. His name's Joseph. I'm scared. He won't let me go. This man, he won't let me go. And we're not safe here. Come with me where we're safe. And so Joseph shows her to this home. It looks like a haunted house, but to him, it's safety. And he says, I can't leave here. The dark man won't let me. So we could spend another 30 minutes, but I'm just going to tell you, Melanie now on this other side learns this kid is in a coma and his spirit is trapped in this kind of nether realm, and there's this dark man, dark figure who is keeping him there, who doesn't want him to come back. And Melanie is able to escape because Kip finally shows up. He sees what's going on, uses his powers to follow her, brings her back out. And after much debate, she convinces Kip, but actually Kip's in love with her, so that's really what convinces him, but she convinces Kip, no one can help this kid. We've got to help this kid, and you're the one who can get us back there. And we've got to go figure out what this dark man is and save this poor boy from being trapped there. And if we don't, he will be stuck forever. And we're decent human beings, and we have these powers, and we need to put them to good. So there you go. That's the other side.